Life's full of surprises you can't predict. I thought to myself that evening, sitting in the tiny hotel room alone with Gary. My husband Logan, being away in another city for the last few months, had already made me so tense. I missed him, sure, but it wasn't just about him not being around. It was his neglect, his lack of interest. That was the real problem. Lonely nights were eating away at my soul. But how could I have known that asking my stepson Gary to take me to see Dad would end with us stuck in a hotel room together, a tiny hotel room with a single bed? I had no idea what was about to happen. Let me tell you everything from the very beginning. Every little detail. Trust me, the end of this story is going to be way more exciting than you expect. That morning, as I was leaving the house, I caught a quick glimpse of myself in the mirror. I was tense, yeah, but I still looked good. Even with Logan leaving me so alone, I still felt desirable, still felt alive. But even those feelings weren't enough anymore. They didn't satisfy me. In the kitchen, Gary was finishing his breakfast when I called out to him from behind. "You're starting college at the end of the summer, I know, but you need to get better at driving. Come on, take me to your dad." He looked up at me, that same cheeky grin on his face he always wore. Gary was a sweet kid with a quirky, funny side, but he could be such a little troublemaker at times. "All right, stepmom," he said teasingly, "but on one condition, tell Dad to get me a better car for the summer." "We'll talk about it," I said sharply, rushing him off. Inside, though, I was just thinking, let's just get this trip over with. But I had no clue the ride wouldn't go as planned. We'd been driving for about 2 hours. I was in the back seat, messing around on my phone while Gary hummed along to some random song on the radio, throwing out dumb jokes every now and then that only made him laugh. Then all of a sudden the car made this horrible sound, a hiss, and then died completely. "What's happening?" I asked, trying not to sound too freaked out. "I think the car broke down," Gary muttered, pulling over to the side of the road, clearly annoyed. So there we were, stuck in the middle of nowhere. The signal on my phone was barely there, and there wasn't a soul around to help. We spent 2 hours arguing, calling every mechanic we could find and trying to fix the damn thing. Finally, we had to accept the obvious. The only option was to spend the night at the closest motel. At the motel reception, while Gary talked to the guy at the desk, I stood behind him, frustrated as hell. If Logan hears about this, he's going to lose it, I thought. But strangely, in that moment, I didn't feel like it mattered all that much. Deep down, I just knew tonight was going to change things. Before this story gets even crazier, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss the rest of this. By the end of it, I'd love to see your support. Poured in the comments and with those likes. When we got to the room and opened the door, all my expectations crashed and burned. The space was tiny, barely big enough to turn around in. One bed, one nightstand, a dim flickering overhead light that made everything look dingy. The ceiling felt low, the AC barely worked, and the one small window just faced the parking lot. "This is it," I muttered, disappointed. Gary walked in behind me, laughing. "What did you expect? A 5-star hotel?" "Relax, stepmom. It's just one night." That teasing tone again, that same smirk. It drove me nuts, but at the same time, it sparked something inside me that I couldn't explain. And even though I hated to admit it, the idea of being stuck here alone with Gary tonight didn't seem all that bad. Gary walked in behind me, laughing. "What were you expecting? A 5-star hotel?" "We're just here for one night." "Relax, stepmom." That teasing tone in his voice, paired with that cheeky grin, only made my frustration worse. But at the same time, I couldn't say I entirely hated Gary's carefree, laid-back attitude. Being around him, even though I'd never admit it, stirred something inside me, a kind of excitement I didn't fully understand. "This heat is killing me," I said, rubbing the back of my neck. "I think I need a shower, or I'm seriously going to pass out." Sure, Gary said casually, throwing himself onto the bed and lying flat on his back. "This is your kingdom, Carmen. Do whatever you need to feel at home." I glanced at him for a second. His lean but toned frame, mixed with the slight boyishness of his face, gave him a strange kind of charm. But I quickly tried to shake the thought out of my head. He was Logan's son, after all, my stepson. I stepped into the bathroom and shut the door behind me. For a moment, I just stared at my reflection in the mirror. My hair was stuck to my skin from the heat, but I still looked good. I still had that spark. Turning the shower on, I let the water run and stepped under it, hoping it would wash away the mess of emotions building up inside me. I'm 47 years old, I thought, and Gary, he's not a kid anymore. He's 22, about to start college, and here we are, stuck together in this tiny hotel room for a couple of days. The thought both unsettled and excited me in a way I couldn't quite describe. Logan popped into my mind. "Logan, I wanted to surprise you. I wanted to come see you, to be with you, but now I'm here, stuck in this hotel room with your son, and I don't know how to feel about it." The steam from the shower filled the small bathroom, the heat relaxing my body even as my mind raced. Gary's grin, his easygoing nature, it was sparking something unexpected inside me. Standing under the stream of water, I couldn't tell what this spark might turn into, but I knew something was changing. Later, I decided to head downstairs for dinner and clear my head a bit. I threw on a light, flowy dress. It was perfect for the heat, but it also made me feel a little more at ease as I was trying to shake off this weird tension. The hotel restaurant was simple but cozy, fitting for a place this small. I ordered a light meal and a glass of wine, hoping it would help me relax. The sun had set, and the streetlights outside the hotel were glowing softly. Sitting there, I couldn't stop my mind from wandering back to the room upstairs. I wondered what Gary was up to right now. Someone as restless and full of energy as him probably wasn't having much fun being cooped up in a cramped room. But somehow, that relaxed attitude of his, so effortless, so carefree, was driving me crazy in a way I couldn't quite explain. When my wine was gone, I gave my plate a final glance and made my way upstairs, taking slow steps. When I reached the room, everything was so quiet. I opened the door, and the sight that greeted me left me momentarily breathless. Gary had taken a shower and was lying on the bed in just a robe, completely knocked out. His half-open robe revealed most of his lean, fit body. His damp hair fell over his forehead, and there was a faint smile on his lips, like he was dreaming. My heart started pounding. It was the last thing I expected to walk into. For a second, I froze by the door, unsure of what to do. Inside me, there was this strange mix of emotions. I felt embarrassed, but I couldn't take my eyes off him. "Carmen, what the hell are you doing? That's Logan's son." I scolded myself internally, but my eyes betrayed me, drawn to the part of his robe that had slipped further open. What I saw stirred something warm inside me. The small size of the room only made things worse. There wasn't another bed, It was either sleep next to him or spend the rest of the night in a chair. And in this heat, the thought of a chair seemed impossible. I stepped into the room slowly, Gary's steady, rhythmic breathing filling the space. I took a deep breath, trying to focus, but the chaos inside me made it impossible to think straight. I had to pull myself together. "Okay, Carmen," I muttered to myself. "It's just one night, nothing more. This doesn't mean anything. I wanted to surprise Logan, and now I'm stuck here. Be rational. Keep it together." I took a few steps toward the bed and looked at Gary. The innocent expression on his face only made my already tangled thoughts even more complicated. I sat down on the edge of the bed, wondering how I was going to make it through the night. In the middle of the night, a soft sound woke me up. I barely opened my eyes, just enough to scan the room. I noticed Gary shifting on the bed. He seemed half asleep, running his hands through his hair and scratching his head lightly. I found myself watching him, but I kept my eyes only partially open, pretending to still be drowsy. Inside, though, I was anything but calm. Then I felt it. His eyes, on me. My heart started racing. He was watching me. I tried to keep up the act, maintaining the sleepy look on my face and staying still. But inside I was buzzing with energy. Untie the belt of his robe. As it loosened, the robe slipped off his shoulders, revealing more of his toned young body. The way his muscles moved slightly with his motions sent a strange warmth through me. I couldn't stop myself. In that moment, I realized two things. I had no control over what was happening, and part of me didn't even want to stop it. Gary pulled out a pair of shorts from the wardrobe. While doing so, he kept glancing back at me as if trying to figure out whether I was awake. His looks made me even more excited. I was trying hard not to give anything away, but at the same time, I let the moment completely take over me. After putting on his shorts, he didn't come back to bed. Instead, he sat on the chair in the corner of the room and just started watching me. Being watched so intently was both unsettling and stirred something indescribable deep inside me. I kept my eyes shut, pretending to sleep, but how long could I really keep up this act? Finally, I couldn't take it anymore and sat up. When my eyes met Gary's, I made sure my voice didn't tremble as I said, without hiding how I felt, "You're making me so excited, Gary." I could feel those words hang in the air. At that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. Gary's eyes flickered for a second, then he took a deep breath and started to speak. "I don't know, Carmen," he said, his voice low but steady. "We've been staying under the same roof for a while now, ever since my dad's been away. The more time we spend together, the more I feel for you. You might not realize it, but sometimes I can't hide the admiration I have for you. Right now, this feels like some kind of dream." His words caught me off guard, but they also stirred something inside me. Gary wasn't looking away, his eyes held mine with a kind of honesty and passion that had me completely captivated. "I got to get up early to get the car fixed," he went on, though his voice sounded like he was trying to convince himself. But his gaze didn't waver, not even a little. "But right now, I just can't take my eyes off you, Carmen. I've never felt this way before." My heart was racing. In that moment, I moved to the edge of the bed and sat down on the chair right in front of him. My eyes locked onto his. The energy between us was so intense it didn't need words. We sat there in silence for a moment before I puckered my lips slightly and fixed my eyes on him. "Gary," I said slowly, my voice carrying both curiosity And, are we talking about the same thing? Gary's gaze deepened, like he wanted to live this moment through feelings rather than words. He didn't reply, but the look in his eyes said it all. And that's when I realized there was no turning back for us. As I stared into his eyes, a surge of courage and uncontrollable desire welled up inside me. The mix of hesitation and passion in his eyes only pushed me further. Taking a deep breath, I started to speak again, my voice calm but firm, drawing his full attention. When I came into the room, you were asleep. Your robe was a little open, and I couldn't take my eyes off you. It got to me more than I expected. We can't run from these feelings. We both know that. As my words hung in the air, I took a step forward and slowly stood up. His eyes followed my every move, his breathing quickening. I couldn't hold back the excitement surging through me. My fingers reached for the sash on my dress, and as I slowly untied it, I could hear the change in his breathing with every move I made. I think I said, my voice dropping to a whisper, "We need to even things out, Gary." I slowly unzipped the back of my dress. The fabric slipped off my shoulders and slid down to the floor. The cool air brushing against my skin only made the heat inside me burn stronger. The look in his eyes said it all. Surprise, admiration, and a pull he couldn't resist. The silence between us felt like a bond now, our breaths blending into each other without breaking eye contact. I took another step toward him. "Now," I said in a low voice, "we'll see if we're really talking about the same thing." Gary's eyes stayed locked on me, his expression steady and full of fire. Suddenly, he stood up, never taking his gaze off me, and turned on the room light. The soft glow filled the room as he walked over and locked the door. My heart started racing. At that moment, it felt like the whole world had slowed down, leaving just the two of us. When he took a step toward me, my breathing quickened. He seemed to be trying to read my eyes, but at the same time, he was fully aware of the silent pull between us. As he got closer, his hands found my waist, and the warmth of his touch felt like an electric current running through me. Without saying a word, he leaned in, his eyes dropping to my lips. I didn't object. I couldn't. Everything about this felt natural, like it was meant to happen. When his lips finally met mine, all the tension inside me melted away. His kiss was slow, exploratory, but carried an undeniable passion. My hands instinctively reached for his shoulders, feeling their strength and warmth surround me. The space between us completely disappeared as our breaths mingled. That moment felt like an explosion of all the unspoken emotions between us. Gary's youth and energy collided with the depth of passion I'd carried over the years. It was the start of something, a beginning both terrifying and exhilarating. That night, there was no hiding what we felt for each other anymore. I let myself fall back onto the bed, my body exhausted but my mind racing. My breathing was still uneven. My foot brushed against the fabric of my dress, lying on the floor. I felt Gary's eyes on me, an intense and quiet energy radiating from his gaze. A moment later, he bent down and picked up the dress, his fingers lightly brushing over where my foot had been. Even that simple action sparked through me. As he held the dress for a second, I could see a flicker of hesitation on his face. Quickly replaced by determination, he set the dress aside. His hands moved to the edge of the bed. Slowly, he climbed onto the mattress, his movements careful and deliberate. As he got closer to me, The expression on his face betrayed his feelings, equal parts excitement and magnetic attraction. As I lay on the other side of the bed, I felt Gary's closeness. My heart continued to race and my breathing deepened. When I saw him leaning towards me, I realized that the distance between us had almost completely disappeared. It was as if everything had reached a breaking point. There was no going back. What I felt inside me at that moment was overwhelming. It hurt and excited me at the same time. I looked up at the ceiling and could see Gary's face. I was fascinated by the way he was smoothing his hair back from his forehead with his hand. I could see in his eyes what Gary was feeling. He was red, excited, and so happy. I could see that he was doing everything with great passion, and I was moved by the way he was out of breath. Gary had accelerated my emotions to the point that I was glad the car had broken down. "I'll never forget this hotel," Gary said in a trembling voice, his words forced out, each one as heavy as a sip of breath. His eyes were locked on me, but his hands were shaking slightly. His body was tense, his muscles contracting, each movement a little more careful and precise, as if he wanted to hold a memory. "I definitely don't want my father to sell the car anymore," he added. After these sentences, he let himself fall next to me, closed his eyes without saying a word, and waited for his breathing to recover. I was exhausted and didn't even have the strength to speak a word. My legs wouldn't stop convulsing,